I think most companies will fail to achieve escape velocity because they can't raise.
You can't fix it. And we see a lot of people that are super technical. They're directionally correct. They have a product needed by the market. And we'll look at them and be like, you're never going to raise venture capital money. And you don't understand the concept of go big, go home. Like these guys, they're not in for base hits in the venture capital.
No.
You've got to make a swing for the fences.
Kirsten Bartok Touw is the co-founder and managing partner of New Vista Capital and Air Finance, backing dual-use tech across aerospace, defense, and space. She also advises the Department of Defense's Office of Strategic Capital on aligning private investment with national security needs.
I think one of the saddest things we see out there are the companies that have lost momentum, but they have a good product that's working.
Yeah.
But it is almost impossible to restart a company, even if the product is working today.
Any advice for early stage founders that are trying to make it in this defense space world? What's your advice to them?
To be a successful founder in fundraising in the US, you really have to be like,
All right, Kirsten, thanks for coming on. I mean, so Dhruva said it. Who originally set this up?
Yeah,
Was it Dhruva?
Dhruva,
Yeah.
yep.
How do you know Dhruva?
through the Defense Network.
He's a two-time guest. He's a recurring guest. He'll come on for a third time soon. I like him. I think he's doing some cool stuff.
He's doing some very cool stuff, has a lot of energy, and is an experienced entrepreneur, which brings something unique into this sector as well.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about because we both were in different sectors doing entrepreneurship before this. So
well, nuclear. I mean, you've done a bunch of different things since then.
I've done many different things. My wife says I've had just a lot of careers, like more careers than most people by 38. I don't know. I get bored or something. I switch around a lot.
I'm like that too. And I do think it helps with trend recognition that if you were in one straight arrow the whole time, you don't have as many things to take what was good from here and there. So by having a diversity of experiences really adds to what you bring to the table.
That's
now.
True. All right. So what do you do right now for your day job?
Sure. My day job is I founded a company called New Vista Capital about 4 or 5 years ago with former CEO of Boeing and former Vice Chief of the Air Force, Sevy Wilson. And we are an early stage venture capital firm. So we focus solely on aerospace, space, and defense.
Okay. Amazing. So, are you based in the area here? Or?
I am based in D.C. I was in Silicon Valley for 20 plus years.
Which part?
San Francisco.
Okay.
So Palo Alto for a couple of those years, and then mostly San Francisco. And then in 2019, relocated to Washington, D.C. to be closer to the DoD.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, I lived in the Bay Area in San Francisco from 2012 or 2013 when I left the Navy. When
you left the Navy.
To 2018 or 2017, 5 years or so.
I think that's and a lot of things people underappreciate. There's lots of bad things we can say about the Valley.
Yeah.
But what it does is just even being there, all everyone does is talk about startups because it's the amount you learn so quickly, which we don't have in other communities right now, is still.
I think it really changed my life because when I left the nuclear Navy, I didn't know people did startups. I didn't know people sold software. I had no concept. My first job out of college was right into naval reactors. So when I got and moved to San Francisco, a whole new world opened. I was 27 at the time, and I was like, whoa. People buy software for $60,000 a year. I was like, marketers buy this stuff.
How did you even have the prescience to think I should go to San Francisco? Because that is.
I read, it's when you're young, move west. Yeah, it's like a adage.
I did the same thing.
So I just randomly, I was like, I probably should go west. I don't know. I had nothing to do. I didn't know after the Navy what to do. So I was like, and I couldn't even get a job as an engineer out there.
Really?
I failed a bunch of interviews, and I was like, "This is weird."
Because they wanted more software.
My resume didn't translate, or I was an electrical engineer. They wanted more software.
Right. Yeah.
Not a lot of hardware startups out there.
And now there's a lot of demand for electrical, and
So what happened is I just took a job as a salesperson, selling marketing software. Which
probably goes back to inform your view today about the importance of marketing and sales. It's a skill everyone has to have. So again, that was. Yeah. Sometimes you always look at it as this is not what I intended to do or mean to do, but what a lucky break too.
Yeah, no, it really did. So I was on the sales floor and I was watching all these Silicon Valley sales bros. Yeah. And all these SDRs, AEs, sales engineers. The VPs of sales were all characters. It was a boiler room. It was kind of awesome. And the company was flying. We were selling so many subscriptions per month, and it was on its way to IPO. So I got there right before they IPO'd, and it was just a cool experience to be wow, this is the outside world from the Navy.
And it's so important to see that ramp, especially being a founder later. Because we look at the world, that's such a big risk with founders if they haven't seen the ramp. and it is an experience from a team that's been successful as like a really scary investment to make if they haven't been through that.
Oh yeah, and like so then when I was doing our restaurant tech company, I modeled the sales team like at Marketo, the marketing company. The problem with that is that our average contract value in the restaurant industry was lower. So like it doesn't actually work. So you have to use VC money to like bridge that gap while you get distribution. It's very hard business to build because of that. It sucks.
And it took them a long time. I mean,
but like Toast, Toast, the point of sale.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like Toast. They basically took the predictable revenue model. That's what they call it, the AE SDR, like the ratio of how many SDRs to AE, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Toast brought that to the restaurant industry, but they were able to do so much venture raising that they could operate at a loss while they overpaid AEs. But they got the distribution now. And now they're in the backside, they get all the credit card processing. So it just takes a long time. You can build the model, though. It just takes a long time.
And it's so funny because that is that type of model of how you do the customer acquisition, own the market, you can increase margins later, is something that is well known in Silicon Valley. Yeah. And I think out of Silicon Valley, it still has, everyone looks at you like you're crazy. Like you're going to, spend venture equity dollars to go acquire customers. Why do you need to do that?
Yeah, I know. It is kind of I guess that was invented there, basically. So wait, when did you move from the Bay?
I moved from the Bay in 2019.
Okay.
So relocated to DC.
And how many people are in the fund? Is it just you or a couple more?
Nope. We actually have a larger team. Okay. We kind of came in with the recognition that we didn't know everything. Even though we are sector experts and focused, that we needed to bring in people who understood air. So we have a group of people from the Navy, a group of people from the Army. We have a large group of people who do international, as we've recognized. So we'll talk a lot about dual use, right? Yeah. It's a big word, common word today.
Yeah, I wish I had that in my company. I don't.
So what we've done, which I'm sure you're doing, is we spent a lot of time helping our portfolio companies sell internationally. So we take like 6 companies to Saudi Arabia for a week, introduce them to everyone in the Ministry of Defense. We'll do the same thing in Europe. And so we've built up, that's another capability we've built out internally of people who've worked on the NATO, who know worked at NATO military team. Because that's a way as you and I both know, it is very difficult to anticipate when the DoD is going to sign a big program of record. So you hedge your bets by going to a lot of POs, right? But you can also hedge your bets by going out to other ministries of defense you think will move faster earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we just signed a 30 turret sale to a foreign country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like $37 million they'll just buy.
I know in one of your areas, part of the problems sometimes the U.S. gets stuck, 1, in our processes, and 2, in our regulations. Mm-hmm. And they can often move quicker because they aren't held back by those.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Jack, it's great to have a investor in defense on the podcast. When's the last time we had that? I mean, Jackson, maybe? That was my favorite guest, though. Because you guys see a lot, so you're like very versatile in the convo. I can pretty much go anywhere, and you're ready.
We can do the macro.
Yeah. We can do the macro, and that's fun. I think the guests or the audience likes that. The other one I was saying the audience really likes when they give us feedback is they're like intel officers and stuff.
Yeah,
they're like intel because it's fun. It's like they just know all these secrets. Right. But then they say like I can't say. They do too much of that on the podcast. But
we always get them be like, what do you think is, and they're always terrified to say what is actually public in the public domain because they don't want to be the one exposing it, even though almost everything is in the public domain. I know. Not everything, but a large not.
It's hard to hide from satellites these days. Yeah. Like it's hard to, you can't like do a surprise strike. I mean, you can, but it's hard.
I don't think people realize that. Like, there is nothing that is private.
People are just watching all movements.
Everything.
All countries are watching all movements.
And it's only going to get worse because the only limitation we have today is processing power, right?
Yeah.
That there's so much we're not catching because no one's looking at it. Mm-hmm. And that's going to change in the next 5 years.
Wild. Are you invested in any like drone companies like this? Not DJI itself, but like any drone companies?
We are not invested in any drone companies.
Smart. Probably smart. I mean, I don't know.
We did make an investment in Elroy early, so in 2019, and they've been a little slower to come to market for a variety of reasons. But we're just having this debate today: how commoditized is the market? What is
the drone market?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of. They're all using the same open source flight software.
Yep.
And then pretty much everything else is like pretty basic. Yeah.
We've been spending a lot of time on the GPS denied area, which again we haven't come up with.
I have an investment in that space.
Which one?
It's called Vermeer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I put like 50
on the optical side.
Yeah, he's like a GPS denied. Plugin that you buy like as package for your drone, and then it looks on the ground, use MapR data or whatever. Yep. Yeah.
The map. So there's a couple people out there doing the optical side, and then of course there's the orchestration side. We're going to create that network of different people doing optical, or in GNS. So it is, I mean, obviously we're now down to fiber optics, right? That we've gone back. We've regressed to some extent because there's no solution.
That's true. I should start pumping my investments more on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to do that more. Yeah. So shout out to Vermeer. We got to get some money out of this, We got to start monetizing.
Seriously.
I was joking with my CTO, or my co-founder. I was like, look, dude, product's sweet. I get it. It's probably going to make a lot of money. But like our backup plan is a media company, defense media business. That's where we're pivoting to.
Well, think about, I know when I do diligence on a sector, I will go down and look at and listen to the CEOs, other podcasts, what they talk about and how they look at it differently. Because they are an incredibly valuable piece of information these days.
Try to get the data.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you need any magnesium spray? Have you ever tried this?
No, but I heard you pump it on another one.
Yeah. No, we do it to all the guests.
Oh, actually, I do. So, but the only problem, isn't it for sleeping?
No, it relaxes me a little, I'm nervous.
So you know what? Okay, so we'll now go off topic. Yeah. That is what everyone is selling postmenopausal women to help them sleep at night. So you may fall asleep in the middle of the podcast.
This is amazing. Yeah. I'm a postmenopausal woman, basically.
I assume it works on men too, but everyone's like, put it on your feet and it'll help you sleep.
Oh, man. Okay, great. That's more. Finally, someone who knows about this.
That's a new angle.
Yeah, I'm going to start.
It's actually a crowded market, but Aloe has a distribution of their own.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Aloe's not cool anymore. I think we're going back to Lulu because since the VCs started wearing Aloe, now we can't wear it anymore. Yeah, so I can't do what VCs do.
I think there's different trends in for men or women, but. But
we're Lulu maxing now, as the kids say.
You're Lulu maxing.
We're back,
they all have done a lot on the men's side, so you figure that's kind of their new marketing, their broad, where they're still the kids.
Athleisure really took off. I don't know, over the last 15 years.
My new favorite brand is Varley. That'll tell you, which is the high end women's sweats that you can wear in the airport.
I've seen those. Yeah, those are great, and that makes sense because you're probably high end because you're crushing it at the firm, obviously, just balling out.
I don't know if we're crushing it, but you want to, if you're going to wear it in the airport to globally, you kind of don't want to look like a schlep, and I really don't want to be in leggings these days,
Yeah,
so.
That's pretty funny. Okay, let's start with my favorite topic because we've had a lot of these guests on. Let's talk the USV market, unmanned surface vessels.
Yeah.
You familiar with that market?
Very familiar.
All right. We got a showdown brewing. We had a Havoc CEO on this morning. We had the Blue Water autonomy guy. Was that this morning?
No, we had Havoc yesterday.
Oh, Havoc yesterday.
Blue Water this morning.
Blue Water this morning. Havoc yesterday. We haven't had Saronic on yet because it has to go through legal. No,
they're legal.
That's my joke. Everything has to go through legal with them. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be like, hey, can I have a Hershey Kiss off this desk? No, whoa, we got to run that by legal, bro.
That'll slow them down. That's not a good sign.
They're gonna, dude, Viv is gonna listen to this and he's gonna be
he's gonna be taking out legal from now on.
I'm just joking, bros. You guys are my boys. We sublease from there. We have office space in their park, so
they're in Austin.
Yeah,
we that's awesome. And it's good to get the energy off the groups like that. I mean, you're doing something different things, but there's a lot of
they know I like to joke with them because of this.
That's awesome.
But they gave us a good deal on rent, and then we moved into this other office, bigger office from Icon. This company Icon is like a 3D printing. So we moved into their old space recently, and they left a bat colony in there. And so we had to spend 2 months getting rid of the bats. And this was really messed up because I think they knew about it and they didn't tell us. And so we lost 2 months of rent.
Was Evan Loomis in the middle of that trade?
I don't think he was that involved. He's higher level than. But I do need to talk with Evan about this because I really feel like he owes me money.
For the bats.
Yeah, come on. That was real shady.
Yeah.
How would they not know?
Yes, you can imagine that story's in the background. Everyone's giggling. There's some Reddit forum talking about, can you believe the bats?
This is classic startup shit.
Totally.
Our office manager, Sam, called me and she's like, hey, we found some bats in our new office. We can't move in. That's the classic thing you hear in a business.
Or those are the stories people tell you about, we talk about all hands on deck. You're going to be ready to take out the trash. And, oh, by the way, you're going to have to be ready to,
crush the bats.
Crush the bats.
Well, you've been down to Austin a lot or no? Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
There's a lot of bats there, obviously. People watch the bats at night in the river. It's like a date thing. You don't know that?
I want to do that.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
It's romantic. It's really romantic.
You got fireflies up east and you've got the bat departures,
Yeah. So it's a hot date spot for people. But yeah, so what do you think of Austin?
I think it's happening. I mean, look, I think we have multiple. DC will be interesting to see how it evolves. Mm-hmm. We certainly need some more tech expertise here coming in, and whether that's from schools or not. San Francisco's quieter these days, as we all know. You got a few things happening. They still have the software, the AI
Resurgence,
side.
though.
Resurgence, as we just talked about. And then you've got El Segundo, unique market if you're in the hardware space. But I think Austin has a lot. It's got a strong connection between Army Futures. It's got a tech community, a vibrant, and it's, a lot of, I think, more of as we fundraise, we often tend to spend more time in the middle of the country because they tend to be more patriotic and care about the issues. So all of that together, I think, really bodes well for the future.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I found, there is the talent density is probably stronger in California, as a person who's hiring in Austin. But we found it to not be too bad. Like, because we mostly target like younger people right out of school with no experience. So we can indoctrinate them in our way of engineering before they've been ruined by the industry. That's how we do feel about it. So like we want like top 5 schools, and then if they're young enough, they have no like family ties yet.
So they can go anywhere.
They can move. So we've been having to just move. We just give them $5,000 the relocation package, and they move.
Yeah,
because they have they're 22,
happy,
they're 23,
and they're happy to go to Austin too.
Yeah, they're 22, 23 years old.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing. So really, the city owes me because I'm bringing all these people here.
And young, energetic, they spend a lot of money, disposable income.
Yep.
Quick question on that though. One thing that I've gone back mentoring a couple of young people is that they've gone into a few situations of hot startups, great places, but very little process, very little infrastructure, very little nurturing. So that they've had a couple of young people put in place to say, oh, maybe I'll go back and do 1 or 2 years over here. I really don't want to work for these big guys. I don't like how fast they go, but there's a little bit I need to learn more about best practices. And then I want to go back to the startup world.
Yeah, we get the best of both worlds with us, though, because we are all naval reactors engineers, all the leadership. So, like, naval reactors is the most process-oriented thing in the history of the planet. No, there's nothing more process-oriented than NR. So you have that.
That's very true.
And then, obviously, we sold a company to DoorDash. So, like, we're just like successful founders.
You get both sides of it.
So you just basically get it all.
Which we talked about again, having that diversity of experience where you can bring the best things you learned at each place to what you're doing. And I often talk about the cadence of startups too. Like, we're not fans of, I think it's really hard to invest in someone who's never been in a startup before. So we talk more frequently. We can teach people defense. We can teach you how to sell the DoD. We can help break. We can't teach people the cadence of a startup. Like that either has to be in you or not in you. And it's almost impossible to learn on the job.
Yeah, it's actually just like a curse if it's in you. Like seriously.
It's that perpetual motion.
Well, yeah, to do this well, you basically sacrifice everything in your life. Like it is not, there's no balance. But like any founder who says they have a work-life balance is bad.
But I think that hits everyone. Like, I'm very similar to that too. Like, I'm constantly being like, I got to spend more time with my kids. I have to spend more time. Instead, I spend my time weekends on studying this stuff or doing, because it's what you're passionate about and what you're interested about and what matters. But that is, again, when we look at people, like, what's the founder like? Do they have that passion, that determination to run through walls? Yeah. And the focus. Also, the other thing, going back to the California versus East Coast, I think it's the agency too. So I was an East Coaster as well, kind of went to college out there, moved out for business school to the Bay Area. And for me, then I use this word a lot. It's that agency, that belief you can do it, that it doesn't matter how old you are. You're not stuck in a hierarchy. I can go do this now. And then you do. Mm-hmm. And you don't worry about all the other stuff. And I don't think that really, I think it is growing in Austin and is growing in other places, but that is really one of the unique things about the Bay Area and California.
Yeah, the culture there. And then people aren't afraid of failing there either. Like if you fail, it's like, oh, whatever, you try another one.
You learn something from it, exactly.
Yeah. I was to try again. I
also like the other part that people take breaks. On the East Coast, they don't take breaks between jobs. And everyone also looks for the best name. They want to go to the pedigreed place. Mm-hmm. And on the West Coast, everyone's like, oh, why do you want to be a cog in someone else's wheel? Yeah. And definitely take a break between one place to the next so you can like reset, re-energize, and really think clearly about what you're doing next.
Yeah, because San Francisco sees it as like a series of very aggressive sprints, basically. You know, so you got to take in between. You got to rest. Yeah. A little,
which is so true.
Because you're going back out at it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard to have that intensity if it's a marathon.
I know.
Right?
I actually wanted more rest after our last company, and I was like resting very nicely at DoorDash. Like it was great. And Luke left early. He like wanted to do another one. Yeah. And he like made me leave. Like he kept. I was still there, and I was enjoying myself in golfing and not really doing a whole lot. And it was amazing rest.
And how long was that? How long were you golfing?
I mean, probably like a year.
Oh, that's good. That's a good amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to have like 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, because like I just wanted to rest. Yeah. It was so exhausting. I was like, but anyways, Luke pressured me, and then he's like, every day he'd call me and be like, it's time to leave, time to start.
I think it's also, I mean, clearly we all do this partly for the dopamine. It's the addiction to the dopamine, the hustle, the race, right? Yeah. And I know I did it once earlier in my career. I took a job that wasn't quite intense, that I didn't have to work like 80 hours a week. And I hated it. I freaking hated it.
Yeah.
So I learned that early on that, you know, and there's sacrifices that are made if you pick that.
No, I know.
path.
Like, obviously, I'm an addict and I had to leave DoorDash, but it was nice to like chill for a little bit. I mean,
and it's one of those things that we can tell our brains in the background, like, time, chill, take this break, use it, because you know you're going to hit, you know.
Yeah. So early stage investing, obviously, is I like to do that too, but as an angel. But I mostly just view it as like horse betting. Like, I almost don't really care. I don't know how you guys look at it. I don't really care about the idea. Because like it's going to change like 9 times, or it changes a lot. Like Slack was not Slack when they started, but it's like I'm looking for like the horse to back.
I agree with all that, but I think there's also been a lot of money lost at people being too early.
Yeah,
so,
that's true too. You can have the right horse, but too early.
And they've got to understand the sector they're going at, and they've got to have the connections to go do it. So I think what we believe, especially, and again, we do space, which is infrastructure, build that infrastructure. Like, you can't plan to do things in which we don't have the capabilities. I always joke about space is we're effectively not processing any information. We're not even moving it. We're gathering it. We're sending it down to the ground station. It's going back somewhere for processing. That's not what's going to look like in 5 to 10 years. But also, don't show me we're not going to build a data center in space. Like, we don't have the infrastructure, the capabilities, the movement. So,
are we making drugs in space though? I saw
not
that.
Yet. We have a couple of people demoing and testing it.
My favorite thing is like the drug companies don't even want to do that. I'm pretty sure. Like, it's just like a hilarious thing. Like, what's the company? It's like Varta or something.
Varta is one of them.
Like, we make drugs in space. It's like, no one's asking for that. In fact, you could probably just do this on Earth, I think.
You can't do it as quickly, but the question is, are they going to pay for that acceleration, and how is that process going to be?
I think they've actually pipivoted away. A lot of their contracts I was looking up.
Hypersonic?
They have like other stuff now. The drugs in space thing, like, I don't know if Pfizer was into it yet or something. Or Novartis, or you can ask on these. My wife used to do PR for all the big pharma. Oh. So I have like pretty good intimate knowledge of like their.
And I think once that also area might grow more once we have commercial space stations. So again, you've got to look at the timing. So is that 2030? When is that coming out? And how do you know? So again, I think that's important. The horse is incredibly important, who you're backing. And then they have to be directionally correct. The other thing we see a lot is people, I think the defense sector is different in that sometimes an entrepreneur can have a crazy idea, and that is too crazy for the DoD.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to know what their priorities are and what they're interested in differently than like, oh, I never thought of Instagram. Oh, yeah. What a neat idea. Let's do it. Like, that's not how defense or space works.
No, we've actually had a little bit of a problem when we started. They didn't want kinetic kill of drones.
Right.
That was like 2022 or something, 2023. They didn't want it because the bullets are scary. That's
really hurting people. Yeah.
So it's a weapon. It's a war product. So what they've been trying to invest in is like electronic warfare and like microwaves and stuff. But then they realized that none of that's going to work now. So then now it's all work. Like, we were like a little early. It was a little painful in the convos, but now it's like it's obvious. So like that worked out. But we could have, if we would have started it 2 years before that, we would have been too early. Yeah, we almost were too early on this one. But obviously, we were just able to raise a lot of money to like sit around.
And I think you also hit in terms of a recognition. You know, we've been talking about counter-drone for a very long time.
Yeah.
And we as the U.S. have done nothing about it. And now when you think about the future threats and how that is handled, it's now no longer acceptable that we have no counter-drone.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we have a bunch of like EW stuff. Like every major
every prime is working on it.
Every prime is the EW prime, as I call it, because they all the government likes to buy it. They like the soft kill because if it could work, then it would be preferable. So it's like a pleasant fiction.
If it doesn't destroy everything in the vicinity, right?
Yeah. All right, back to space real quick though. So, what's the most recent space investment you made?
Or
that you've announced?
That we've announced. We did Hubble Networks, which is doing the IoT connectivity using Bluetooth from an antenna down to Earth. So it'll be a really low-cost, high-throughput capability of locating any device on Earth at a hardware modification.
That's cool. Is that like a defense-oriented thing?
Again, dual use.
Dual use.
So, but not everything in space has to be. So
yeah.
We did Hawkeye 360 on the RF side.
Yeah.
So that's been a great one. John Serafini is an awesome CEO. So, but it's interesting. I think that market hasn't grown as fast as everyone thought it would.
Yeah.
And you sometimes wonder, is that technology acceptance? Where is the customer there? We know it's a need, but how big is the buyer going to be?
That makes sense. Do you like believe in aliens?
Did you see one of my colleagues was actually on the Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick?
No,
he joined us. Okay, there were 2 great articles in the Wall Street Journal this past weekend. Was part 2 and part 1 debunking the UAP theory.
Yeah.
And has our government been hiding things from us?
I don't think they have been. No.
So that's effectively what this said.
Yeah.
It kind of debunked all the stories and said there were a bunch of people internally at the DoD who kept kind of telling each other, perpetuating these stories.
Yeah, but do you believe there's life in the cosmos is the question.
I think from if you're looking at it from a likelihood perspective, probably somewhere. Like,
I mean, yeah, because
are we ever going to encounter that life? That's a different, separate question.
We might have there's like hundreds of billions of galaxies, right? So there's got.
So you look at it from a probability perspective.
I mean, just the math.
Yeah, exactly. We're the only one that has developed,
no
living system. That it's just not likely.
That's cool. I really wish. Sometimes I couldn't be a space investor because once I start thinking about space, I like get all existential and insignificant and stuff, and I'm like, the cosmos is too big. Like we're just look at us. We're like here.
We're ants, we're
like shooting bullets at drones on Earth in a small sector of the galaxy, and it's really just irrelevant to the star system.
And maybe that's because I'm tactical. For me, I get so incredibly excited. If you think about, I always equate space, like we're effectively going to shift all communications from terrestrial to celestial. Like it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you think back to like where we were in 1999, dial up or whatever, and all that middleware that had to be built out, that's kind of like the ecosystem we're going to see in space over the next 20, 30 years.
I think that the most accurate sci-fi is that show The Expanse on Amazon. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I haven't.
So the Expanse, the letter A in Expanse is the A in ACS. We took that. We liked how the design looked.
I liked For All Mankind. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
Apple,
that's a really
right?
good one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. But yeah, so the Expanse, how it works is there's the asteroid belt, there's Earth, and Mars. Those are the 3 human colonies.
Okay.
So you're a belter, or you're on Mars, or you're on Earth. And then the Mars people are like more technological and smarter a little, but it's harsher environment.
Right.
So I think actually the Expanse might actually be right because like Elon's gonna be the king of Mars or something, and he's gonna have a whole colony.
He'll colonize it all.
And then declare independence against Earth. This is what happened. And then there's also the asteroid belt, which they've managed to live on there somehow too in the show.
So they basically were the human race that proliferated on those, but you had a separate higher IQ species that developed.
Yeah, no, they evolved a little. I mean, they're all human, but they're just like a little
evolved
bit,
over time.
Yeah. And so they're the more high tech race.
All Elon Musks.
And
they might be more on ketanine every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But smarter than everyone else, and they'll evolve faster.
But that's prescribed. So it's fine. It's prescribed. So anyway, so I think that's like could be accurate. I mean, that's where we're headed, right? Space. He's going to Mars.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put a colony there. So I feel like that could happen.
I think it's potential.
And obviously, you could definitely see them seceding. Like, why would they want to be a part of Earth anymore?
Well, they still have to be. That is part of the problem. How do you supply it?
Well, they don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah, they probably would. Then they could reinvest.
I think they move Starship to like an island nation or something.
How do they make their money, though? If they don't want to pay, because they're still making their money back on Earth from all of us. So that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, aren't they charging Earth people to do stuff in space? Because like Elon has control of SpaceX.
Absolutely.
But I guess then the U.S. might try to take it from. This could be
which is a danger as well.
This will be interesting.
Well, what is it? The Long Walk. That'll be China's. Starlink space constellation. I think without a doubt there'll be multiple constellations up there. You have like ISI out there.
Yeah.
Even Black Sky talking about putting up satellite constellations for other countries because they don't want to be. They don't want Elon Musk to do, geofencing around their area.
Yeah.
To make sure the Chinese are, the Russians are.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess as long as SpaceX is launching from America, it would be hard for him to secede because, that's his pipeline to.
That's true. We could shut him off. But it's like you saw the thing with the Trump conversations. They're almost equally as powerful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, when we had this debate, I think Trump's probably more powerful. Just because. Yeah, I think he has more power.
He could do a Putin thing and take away all of SpaceX from Elon.
But
so
Elon's
I guess
pretty
that does
powerful.
make
They're
it.
both very powerful, obviously. Yeah. But I think probably Trump's more powerful. But then I think Elon tweeted only for 2.5, 3 more years or whatever.
Right. I'm going to be living a lot longer than you are.
I mean, that whole fight was, I feel like someone staged in some way. I was like, this can't be real.
Except it wasn't. That's the scary part, right? That's why everyone couldn't take their eyes off Twitter that day. It was like, it's really happening in front of us, the breakup.
I think what's interesting is that they are both masters of great attention. So like, that got a lot of attention, and like attention's all you need. You just need more eyeballs on you at all times, basically.
I think that's true, but I also think that they believe they're in a unique category on their own, which is why they can have this, open dispute and not worry about it.
Yeah, definitely. They both like have fuck you money.
Yes.
Effectively, and they use it.
Yeah.
They operate like that.
And look, I mean, like I said, Trump could take SpaceX away from Elon Musk, but that would truly be a dictatorship and a turn towards, Russia versus.
Yeah, we would never do that.
Yes, we would never do it, but it is the only way he has more power over him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because we need space. I mean,
SpaceX is massive. I mean, just.
And someone showed the number that ULA did 2 launches this year. 2.
Yeah, like SpaceX is 90% of. Isn't SpaceX like 90% of all the world's launches or something?
But,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they've done 50 this year to date, and that ULA done 2. And I think we're still waiting on Blue Origin, right?
What's that one, Rocket Lab or whatever?
Yep.
Is that that's pull up Rocket Lab's stock chart.
It's like 30. It's gone up. I'm a big fan of those guys.
Have you been holding Rocket Lab stock?
I have.
Oh yeah.
So like I brought it up.
This could be your best investment if you got in early.
It is. I was lucky I put it in my IRA, which is even better.
Hell yeah.
So let that accumulation go.
I don't hold individual stocks. I never would do that. I only do the VOO, like the index.
Yeah.
And I just stack
You're missing out. But you do angel investing.
Oh, I do some of that. That's gambling. I do gambling. And then I also get all of my alpha and risk from my own companies.
Right.
So that's why I don't take risk in the market. I'm going to make money on the companies.
I used to do that, but then like there's some places like this one. I don't know. Ashley Vance's book on Rocket Lab is really good if you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Or the Heavens.
I'll have to check it out though.
And I think, so if you believe in space in a long term and a hedge, and if you can't get enough, visibility or into SpaceX, they are a great hedge.
Yeah.
In what they're doing. And they're incredibly competent, the technical team. So, are they, I'm not saying a question, are they overvalued or undervalued? But they certainly have a long run ahead of them, and they will be a significant company.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like I do think so. I just don't hold individual stocks. And you probably, all my returns will be worse. I don't know. But whatever. Just seems I don't want to think about it. I don't want any mental capacity going towards it, basically, because it's all on my on the business.
Well, but let me put it this way. Let's say a bunch of the companies you knew were public. Let's say Andrew goes public, and you believe it. I believe in Andrew. I think they've got an incredibly unique model. And more than anyone, I think they're technology agnostic, and what their job is to understand where the dissatisfaction is in the Department of Defense and build something to meet that or buy someone.
That's a correct analysis.
So I'd buy them. I mean, I already own Andrew. I'm honored to be an investor, and I will buy more. Yeah. So, because I think they're long-term, they're going to dominate, and we're going to see a couple of primes, a couple of new emerging tech primes.
Let's say they're $100 billion or something when they IPO. If in VOO they'd be weighted, they'd be 9% of VOO or something. I have exposure. It's just not.
You totally do.
Because if they're one of the top 20 biggest companies, that's where most of the index is in. So as those companies fall out of the top 20,
but then you have exposure to things you may not want exposure to.
Definitely, that's the downside of the index.
I'm kind of half and half, but I've definitely grown back more into leaning into some of the smaller cap.
I don't know if I would be confident enough if I had a basket of stocks, if it would beat it over a 10-year period. I'm not sure.
That's a fair.
Maybe. But also, I think that if I were to do it, maybe it would just own one stock. Just all in.
All in on that.
Because all in on Rocket Lab or something. Just not diversify.
Well, I think the tough part is we don't have any influence over Rocket Lab, right? So it'd be hard to be all in unless you had significant insight and influence.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why in the VC world, you have influence somewhat. I mean, it depends on the VC type because my VCs don't really. We
don't have a ton of influence. I mean, everyone's kidding themselves if they think they have influence. You can kind of. Some have power, negative insight. They can fire this, but
you're
already in trouble if you're firing their CEO.
Yeah, it's already fucked.
Yeah.
Most of I've been fortunate.
Glad to know I can swear on here. Yeah. So feel much more comfortable.
Yeah. My PR team doesn't like it, but I tell them to fuck off.
Do they beep it?
No, I just tell them to fuck off. Honestly, I love my PR team. They're amazing. They're so funny. Like whenever I'm going on TV or something, like Fox News.
Don't swear.
They'll be like, don't swear, don't fucking vape, wear a suit. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm going on TV. I'll be fine. But they always remind me because they're always afraid that I'm going to do something off the wall. And I was like, no, we're straight down the middle on this.
So I'll tell you one of the best things I saw. Palmer Luckey came in too, and it was a Wall Street conference. The city guys were doing it, and Chris Kabasic from L3 was there. And it was really a fascinating scene of Palmer came with his Hawaiian shirt on. It wasn't wearing sandals. He was a winter. And he came across as ridiculously mature and thoughtful. And it just proves a point, like, everyone's expecting something. If you're in a T-shirt, you have a goatee or whatever, sandals. And then it was interesting to see Chris Kubasik try and out Palmer. And,
Amazing.
Actually, there's some insight in the defense world and the prime world of like, yeah, these guys are threats. You should be more worried. I still think it's hard to, it's going to be a Vineyard Vines wearing guy try to be cooler than Palmer, outdo him.
That's going to be tough. He's one of
it was awkward to watch.
Like the top 10 entrepreneur of all time. Yeah. He's like up there with the greats. So like that's going to be pretty hard.
I do enjoy watching his love-hate with Jason Kukanis. Oh, that is like one of the best things.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've met Jason a few times. My main investor is David Sachs, so like I've seen these guys. I've seen them a lot, and that's a funny.
Which I think weren't you David's first defense?
I'm really like the first and only. He has a small another like $50K investment in something. Okay, but I'm like the one. They're just all in.
And how'd you get him in? I mean, because that's a
he was in my last company.
Okay, so that's awesome. Smart.
When we sold, we made him money, and so when I went back out to talk to him about this one, he was like, "Oh yeah." Second time found, back the same.
I'm going to back you. Yeah.
Another horse
bet. That's
awesome. Horse bet.
That's good to know.
But he also did really like the product idea. Like he was really into like shooting drones down for cheap.
Novel approach, right.
So he was like delighted by that. And then, he's someone he knew. So did the deal.
Oh, that's good.
And then, he can't really be on the board or anything because of his role.
Right.
He's the AI crypto czar. So he can't he's like mostly divested from like being tied to the startups because he's like busy with his White House thing. So I try not to bother him. He's always busy, but it works out well. Like the rest of the firm supports me, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
They had me, it was great. They just had me come out there to like do a video shoot for the website.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Funny. They were like prompting me with questions and like trying to get me to say like the nicest things about craft. And I was like, guys, I'll just say the nicest thing. I like you guys.
You're like, I'm a fan already. You don't need to.
Got it. It's going to be fine. Anyway, their PR person, Jessica, really had a blast with that. I hope it turns out well.
So one of the things Palmer talked about this, he talked about how he couldn't get any of the people when he founded Anduril to give him money. And he made all these guys a shitload of money. Yeah. And they still wouldn't give him. So he started to go out and said, and I don't have this wrong, it was exactly what he said. He said, I threatened to badmouth them all. Don't you support your founders? I've made you a ton of money. And then they all invested.
That's so funny.
And now they're like psyched.
Yeah. I mean,
they listen to him.
That's the thing. I thought about this, the difference between Palmer and like an Elon is Palmer's not all in enough. So he sold his company for like $2 billion, and he had a lot. He had probably $1 billion or something from that, or he was a billionaire.
Right. At how old? 21?
Yeah. And so
I mean, it's crazy.
He didn't have enough. He could have led his seed A, B of Anduril. He could have led most of it, Elon style, and own a huge amount. So he's going to be worth maybe 10 to 15 billion. But if he actually had more conviction, would be worth 100.
If he would
have just done
Oculus and stayed there.
No, if he would have YOLO'd all of his net worth into the first 3 rounds of Anduril.
Yeah,
because he could have, but he just didn't have the conviction, or maybe I don't know. I actually don't know the guy, but I'm saying there's a world where he could be worth $100 more billion. Instead, he was raising money and not using his personal wealth.
Well, the world looks vastly different. But as a CEO, hopefully he'll get some stock options.
The difference. Yeah, but that's the difference between an Elon, who's a full tilt. I mean, you read stories about SpaceX and Tesla. I mean,
and him almost going bankrupt.
He pushes all in.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference between becoming the richest man in the world and maybe, having 20 billion. And maybe Palmer doesn't actually care about any of this. I don't know. I don't know. But I think about that a lot because he easily could have led all of his rounds. But, it's defense, so maybe he wasn't as convicted or something. I don't know.
I think he wasn't sure.
Him someday why. I'd love to be like, why aren't you richer?
Hopefully you guys will get him on here. And because I think that's a really interesting question. But even back then, I mean, what they were proposing to do seemed crazy back then.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone was like, isn't Boeing or Luckey or Northrop going to go? And now we understand that those guys can't do it. They won't do it. They're not even a threat anymore. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So so the question is, if he knew all of that already, then why not just YOLO?
Well, you should ask him.
I want to know.
I want to know too.
I'm sure he'll have an answer.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll say, I don't need to be that rich or something like that. I'm sure he won't care.
I was really surprised at how humble and, really thoughtful he was.
Yeah.
When,
Yeah. The other theory I had is that he understands that this is my other theory, is that it's just a smart play. Like he understands capital markets, and so he needs to get these investors in founders fund early, so that they
as a signal.
No, so they can have a huge chunk of it, and then they'll keep doing the deals over time because he needed to get billions.
Yeah,
which he didn't have. Like he had a couple billion. He needed 5-10 billion.
Yeah,
and so to do that, you have to like get all the investors greedy early and get them ownership, and then force them to pro rata, and then bring in more investors. So like it's like a snowball effect.
I also think Founders has a really unique model. I mean, one, they've been able to create liquidity in SpaceX so that they can give all their investors liquidity after a 10-year life. And Anduril's just about on that path. But the fact that they continue to do the rounds that probably will make multiples, but they're not going to make 10 times, you know, so, and how does that average and have an impact on their, you know, MOIC in the end?
Yeah, I mean, and they just did like the latest Anduril round. They've done all of them basically. They pretty much do them over. Yeah, and Trey like sits on Founders Fund and Anduril.
Yep.
So that's like it's a good model.
Again, and you've got Varta and what am I blanking on? And then they've got the Matter company that they're starting up in the nuclear uranium space. Yeah. So that is really their model. And it's unique and it's a good model. Yeah.
Like it's like an incubation, you think? It's kind of like an
and then you're model. Allowed as a partner to go out and be a founder of that.
Yeah, like 8BC has that. They do it like Saronic.
They do, but they do it more as a team, I think, or they do it more individually at Founders. Someone was saying that Trey is now a billionaire, but it's because of Anduril. So his stake in Anduril as a founder and the stock he got, which was separate from the investment.
Yeah.
And I think 8VC is predominantly.
I see what you mean. Yeah. It's a little slightly different.
It's more team focused. So we're going to incubate it like Atomic, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to incubate it, and the returns are going to go to the fund, where they allow someone to be a founder as well as make an investment.
That makes sense. Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing an early stage incubation model?
I think it's an important one. We try to partner with a few founders on their next companies out. We've got one right now we have a broader, you kind of asked this question earlier, we have a broader advisory team that we actually involve in the sausage making, as I described. So they're involved in the first calls, they're involved in diligence, they're involved in, referencing. They see the sausage making of a venture investor, because that's actually how a lot of our industry experts or D&D folks like to stay, because it's like a mini MBA for them. And they bring their expertise, and we kind of show them how the venture sausage making works. So we absolutely, I think probably 20% of what we'll do will be things we'll incubate kind of in the venture partner model.
Fun.
And then 80% of things will be opportunistic that we find.
Yeah. I think if I had a fund, which maybe I will someday.
You should.
I would do, I think my fund would be like basically a Series B fund or A fund that tries to invest before the data is quite there on the company, like slightly before like their contracts are coming in, or slightly, when they're just a little early for most other Series B funds. And that way you could maybe get alpha, and then you horse bet big. Like I would do like only 5. I would just do big concentrated YOLOs, and like on a little bit too early for the company.
And that kind of is Josh Kirshner's fund.
Yeah.
Like we're going to have a concentrated, he's got billions. Think about what he's put in OpenAI, concentrated bets we're going to do later stage. And the interesting thing the problem with the B is that a generalist investor can invest at the B stage, right? Because all you have to do is see traction, and then you can diligence traction.
Yeah.
So there really isn't a
But I'm saying I'm going to do the Bs before there's traction.
Before there's traction.
Yeah. Basically, that's where the alpha is. Because you get the founders who are a little like they're good, but they're a little nervous that maybe the traction won't come, and you get a bigger chunk. And so, but you know as the investor that they're going to get the traction.
I think one of the saddest things we see out there are the companies that have lost momentum, but they have a good product that's working.
Yeah.
But it is almost impossible to restart a company, even if the product is working today.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
You almost want to restart it, because you can't raise venture funding. It is so momentum based, which is one of the things I hate about my peep.
It's so momentum based. That's what for me, like that's all I think about is the momentum game of it.
Hence the marketing, which I think is really smart.
And it's like
maintain that momentum.
You have to maintain the momentum. As we've raised $43 million. You got to keep raising once you do that.
Right.
Like there really is no way past it. And founders that tell themselves this will be the last round I need to raise, they're probably wrong on their business strategy, actually.
I think we live in a different world today. Because most companies go public at 10 to 15 billion in valuation, you have to get yourself to be big. That's how you get the most investors. So, and we're seeing this in the defense tech sector. One, your ability to raise capital is a moat and is a competitive advantage. And it's kind of obvious to see the people who can do it and not. And then even though, and this goes back to the Anduril comment, you've got your basic technology, you built your own IP, but maybe there are ancillary products that you could bring around it, and you could go acquire them. And that'll help you accelerate. So all of that capital raising just allows you to increase that moat and get bigger. potentially to that IPO, which, in some extent, you have to get liquidity somewhere, right? Investors need liquidity.
True, yeah. The IPOs, it's later stage things going, like IPOing. Like, you have to be bigger.
Yeah.
So that's changed a lot. That makes the private market investing more important, which makes founder raising more important.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the ability for a founder to raise is probably something that you mark and you are tracking.
It's almost something you can't fix it. If you have a founder and we see a lot of people that are super technical, they're directionally correct, they have a product needed by the market, and we'll look at them and be like, you're never going to raise venture capital money, and you don't understand the concept of go big, go home. Like, these guys, they're not in for base hits in the venture capital.
No.
You've got to make a swing for the fences.
It is that. That's exactly right. And I told Luke Allen, my co-founder, I was like, when we started this company, I was like, look, we're not doing it like the last company where I had to also run product. I was like, I'm going to work on investors, marketing, and recruiting, and I'm not going to do anything else. I was like, 'cause that's a full-time job.
Yep.
It's more than a full-time job, especially in defense, because the capital needed to really go big is immense. And I think most companies will fail to achieve escape velocity because they can't raise. Yeah,
100% agree.
Yeah.
And partly it's that amount of time, that duration it takes for your product to catch on within the DoD. Hence why we like the hedge strategy of going to other people. But then you and I both know, once you get that program of record, once you have that escape velocity, you are good. Just keep it up. Keep what you're doing.
Oh yeah, once you get it, it's just a money printing machine.
Yep.
Like, because the congressional marks start flowing, and they get marked up every year. And how much time do you work with your founders on the congressional strategies and stuff?
We do a good amount. I think that's the unique thing about what New Vista brings is we can do both business development in the building, so in the Pentagon. We can work directly, help unlock contract, open doors.
Yeah.
Because typically, a VP of sales at a defense tech is somewhat, they're like an 06, right? They were a lieutenant colonel. They weren't, you weren't doing a 2 or 3 or 4 star, right?
Yeah.
So you combine that really strong VP of sales and CEO, who's probably doing a lot of it, with the door openers, the people who can strategically help them get to the right people and get their phone calls returned and get that visibility. That's what we do. So you've got amazing places in DC, as you know well, like Beacon and Palace, and we can do that, especially for the early stage companies. And I think that makes a big difference because when you're talking pre-seed and seed, we do pre-seed, seed, and Series A. That is really before they can afford to hire some of those big groups. And it's also so important when you're developing the product and product market fit. Refining it and getting that early feedback from the people in the building to say, is this something you want? And then how do you, to your point, you're always going to pivot, right? But you want to get that early feedback so you pivot earlier because then you're much more efficient with your cash.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to get the right feedback though in defense because, if I was selling I was talking about this on this other episode earlier, but if I was selling like a software to a business like DoorDash, they have to buy that software and either it needs to make them more money or save them money. Like that's what a business needs to do with implementing something. And so you get a feedback loop if your product is useful pretty fast. In the government, just because someone says they want an autonomous boat doesn't actually mean our nation will ever use autonomous boats. You know what I mean? Because there's no actual, you don't have to be right. So it might have sales market fit, I call it, but it might not have eventual battlefield proliferation. And so there's a little bit of a different game there.
I think that's true. So we can talk about the Navy later. I know we started there, so I want to go back because I think they are the hardest nut to crack. And I think that is because they are so separated between above water and below water, subsea, and they really don't talk to each other. And because they have an intractable problem that they can't fix in their shipbuilding, there is so little mind share given to the innovative technology where we need the technology as a country but I am concerned that that service is going to be very slow in putting dollars to work. And then which goes back to your earlier point about there's got to be buy-in within the strategic side of the DoD to say we're going to have this as part of our force projection. You've got to have buy-in on the strategy that they want to use this tool you're giving them. And then it's just selling. But the hardest part is getting that buy-in, and it can take years. And you've got to be talking to the right people, and you've got to be talking to strategy people. You can't go into the mid-level. You have to go. You think about how we do war games.
It's tough.
We think about future technologies.
I need to get a war gamer on here. We talk about that. I think they're doing war games wrong. I'm pretty sure. I don't know exactly, but the war games seem to be lacking some sort of like how good the drones are going to be. I think. But we'll see.
Not having that clearance, I haven't been in them, but I can introduce you a few people who are.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, obviously, they're not going to give me the details on the podcast, but maybe they'll give me some high level.
Well, they can probably tell you whether they think they're realistic and what the capabilities are. And I mean, look, I think, General Milley came out, and I remember seeing him at a Ben's dinner, like just as he was retiring, so 4 or 5 years ago. And he made the statements that, the buy-in's been there. And this is what we know because we're in the industry. He said, the future of warfare is not about destroyers. It's not about aircraft carriers. It's not about submarines. It is about small, invisible, distributable, and attributable. And they knew it then, right? What we're seeing today, we hadn't even seen Ukraine at the time. But getting our Department of Defense or any Department of Defense from the destroyers, the subs, the F-35s to this new future has proven harder than we ever would have anticipated.
Oh, it's amazingly hard.
Yeah.
Part of our product strategy, whether this was going to work or not, is like our product doesn't, it's just a replacement for another gun turret. So it doesn't have to actually hit drones. Like, meaning it's just like, it also does the other missions.
You can, right, that's
it has
important.
Backwards compatibility with other mission sets. That way, like, even if the drone wars didn't come, it still has applicability. But, it's try to insulate. Because it's hard to see the future, so you got to try to figure it out. But it's hard to get that feedback loop.
And when you talk about are you the last line of defense as that drone is getting close to someone protection and
we're point defense, right?
Point defense,
so point defense on vehicles or buildings or last line of if you don't want your tank to get iced by an FPV. Or your artillery.
Right.
So it's defending that kind of stuff.
Because it's hard to use a missile. We don't have missiles at that close range or from those points, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some startups trying to do interceptor missiles, like they're little missiles. I see those pitch decks a lot because they try to ask me to invest. But I think they defy,
and what do you think about that strategy?
They defy the laws of physics because you have to be more maneuverable within the drone.
Right.
And that's not going to, at the small missile level, they're not going to have the fuel and the ability to change course
chase
really
it and go around,
So I think it's actually just
different aerodynamics, right?
It sounds really good on a pitch deck, but obviously I just think that they're not really viable from a physics perspective. But it's something that the government would like. It'd be cool to have a mini rocket pack.
Yeah,
you could open up and be hit a button and be
and it goes around, just follows the drone wherever it goes. Right, explodes once it touches. Yeah, that'd be nice to have.
We thought about doing that instead of the bullfrog. Obviously, just we wanted kinetic effects. So we thought about interceptors like that. But our other interceptor is going to be, I can't announce it, but we have a different interceptor idea for that. For area denial versus the point defense. So you need two, right? You need point defense and then you need an area defense.
Yep. Like a dome, like we talk Golden Dome or Iron Dome. Yeah.
To hit So basically the idea is right now it's Shahed, like an Iranian Shahed. Yep. That's, I don't know how much that is.
Did we take out, by the way, all of their, I do want to go back.
Go ahead, yeah.
Did we take out all the Shahed capabilities? Because that's what everyone's talking about, how it's really going to impact Russia in the manufacturing.
The manufacturing?
Yeah.
We may have. I saw something.
Or not we, Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We may have. But those are $60K or something.
Yeah.
And so right now we're taking them out with $150K, a Coyote or a Roadrunner or something, I think that there's a better way to do that. So that's what our next product would be. The interceptor market needs to be disrupted with a much, much cheaper type of thing. So that's where we're coming.
And do you think it's viable on the non-kinetic side? That had been where so much money had been put for years, whether you fry the electronics or whether you overtake the electronics.
No, I think none of that's viable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put any money in any of that. Yeah. Ever.
And do you think it's not viable when you think about protecting against a Super Bowl or a White House, or it's not viable because warfare is different?
It's not viable in warfare.
Warfare, yeah, I agree with that.
And I think in public domain, I think what we would prefer to do as a country is not do anything, and let freedom be free. And if we get hit, we get hit. That's what I think you'll see. Because why would you put defense? You're not going to buy a bunch of defenses for your stadiums and stuff. That's just, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there'll be no market there. That's not a market.
It is an interesting question to think about how, as a landmass, we've been well protected by our oceans.
Yeah.
But then what U.S. people would say that we don't have any protection for a swarm of drones coming towards our city,
I think the protection is that if it happens, we're going to lash back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a secondary. There's nothing to do the first line. We don't need protection.
Yeah, come hit us with your drone swarm.
Right. And we're going to take you out.
We're going to literally put our F-35s across your country. We're going to bomb the shit out of you. That's the protection.
Yeah.
So
which is the deterrence, right? We talk about deterrence all the time.
Which is why I don't ever engage with government on protecting the homeland, because I think it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I stand.
Well, and I
as
think
an entrepreneur, you have to you can't always trust the customer what they're saying.
Yeah.
You have to just make a guess and so it's the Henry Ford thing.
On where the strategy is going in the market, right?
Yeah, if you ask them what they want, they say faster horses. That's that.
It's so true.
I think that is one of the most true entrepreneur quotes ever. That's why I don't really ask them what they want. Because you can't really trust it.
That's fascinating because I would say we do a little bit more of saying that's not a priority. Sometimes you can say, oh, that's a unique approach to solving that problem, which I think is what you've come up with, but it's still a problem. But there are cases in which people come up and they try and push these ideas and we're like, that is not anything that's on the priority list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we weren't on the priority list, obviously, but I mean, if I asked you...
Well, the problem was on the priority list, right?
The problem
Your solution wasn't on the priority list.
No, of course not. Yeah. Of course not. And also, not that they were thinking about this, but if you had a gun that could put a bullet through someone's head at 600 yards with one shot, that's not a gun that they currently have. That's a gun. That's what we can do. So, obviously... There's you can't ask them that though. You can't be like, hey, do you want a gun that's more accurate than anything you've ever had before? Because obviously they would just say yes.
Right.
So there's no even need to ask. If you could make that, you would just do it.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the other thing is they don't even. But I don't even have that conversation with my customer yet. They're not even ready to have that convo. We are still. We just talk about drones.
Yep.
But obviously this is the most accurate gun on the ground ever made. So,
And is your solution about accuracy or is it about an automatic weapon that can take out? Because
it's about very few shots.
Very few shots.
We're sniping.
Oh, okay.
We turned a machine gun into a sniper rifle.
And then so I'm going into the product here, and I haven't had the pitch before,
no
so
worries,
but I was like, and then how does it destroy the drone internally? Does it explode, or what does it do to the mechanics?
Oh yeah, just a bullet will hit this propeller. Or,
right.
It'll hit something.
It'll hit something.
Sometimes it hits the battery and it lights on fire.
Yeah.
Depends where it hits.
Right, but if you hit this, it might go down, or you hit an arm or a corner of it, it's not really going to take it out, and you need to take it out.
Pull up go to our X page or whatever.
Yeah, I should have watched the video in advance.
That's fine. We're putting we usually don't talk about our product a lot on this podcast, but it's interesting convo, I guess, since we have an investor here. May as well.
Yeah. You get to highlight it because I'm interested.
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So this is that's a search.
Okay.
And then this thing tracks the drone and pops it,
And that's done with one
or two shots.
Wow.
No human can make that shot. No existing gun turret can do that. So this one right here, this is coming at 20 meters a second straight at us. Play that in. I mean.
And it's effectively the AI that is
shots.
catching it and looking. Wow.
It's AI. It's so accurate. It's deadly.
Yeah, you can't even see it in the camera.
Yeah, these are hundreds of yards away. And they're moving at almost top speed.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, now imagine this.
Are you far enough
targets.
along that you can use this in Ukraine yet?
I mean, this would already be very good in Ukraine. They would probably want. I mean, we could, but we're just gonna wait till the end of the year when it's fully done.
Who's manufacturing it?
We are. Yeah.
You are in house.
We make all
assembly?
We make all of the everything but the gun. We make all the electronics, the PCBs.
Okay,
Those are all custom motherboards. Custom motor controller.
Why did you do that?
So it's because we have to have control of every part of the robot to do this hard problem. So there's no off-the-shelf motor controller that would work for this solution.
Wow.
We have our own motor. So all of our own electronics are in steel, and then all of our own software. Yeah, it's in a fully vertically integrated company. So it's all we make it all.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But basically, yeah, you can turn that off now. But so now we don't even have the conversation with them about ground targets. But obviously, if it can hit a small drone,
absolutely,
it's going to be devastating.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they don't even know our customer doesn't even know the power of this product yet, and I can't convey it to them.
And why you can't or you won't, or they don't understand it yet?
No, it's unbelievable, and they don't. Right now, where it's at in this prototype phase, someone might just say, or actually, our competitors would say, "Oh, well, they can hit a moving drone, but can they hit 3 of them yet?" And obviously, we probably can. But none of them can even hit anything. They're just they sped FUD, we call it.
What's FUD?
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Okay. Yeah.
So the way to sell against us right now is to be oh, you can't trust this company; it's too small. But we'll have this capability soon.
Oh, well, that's what everyone used to say.
And they do it. It works pretty well. Like if you say, look, we'll have this capability soon. Just stick with the existing contract vehicle. We promise we'll build what ACS has. That's like the sales cycles right now.
One of the good and bad things about the DoD is they love prototyping though. They love checking it out. Have you done that process with them to demonstrate?
Bring them down to the range and stuff. Yeah.
But not SIBRs formally, just showing them what you're capable of.
No SIBRs.
No SIBRs. And why'd you take that approach?
I don't like SIBRs.
A lot of people don't.
I don't. It's just too much work.
Too much work.
It's easier to raise money and use investor money.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then sometimes SIBRs also help you get, again, sometimes I don't like AFRL is, or that is too far out there to have really the combatant commands.
Yeah.
But if you got a SIBR with SoftWorks or something like that, with the special forces teams kind of out there, wouldn't that,
maybe
build you connectivity within those?
I mean, we're doing like, we have like stuff coming with all those services now, but it was a long.
But they're more like OTAs?
Yeah, one of them is.
Okay.
We just skipped right to that.
Okay.
For one of the branches.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah. So, but it took a long time, like years, because obviously when we started, again, it was a pitch deck.
Yeah.
And so we're still building the belief in the product, because the drone isn't maneuvering yet. Like it was coming, we had it, coming straight at. So now they want to see have it swirl around, and they hold us to a higher standard than the rest of the industry, basically, much higher standard, because no one can actually hit a drone stationary. Yeah, basically, except for us.
Well, I think that's because they wrote the requirements. So they don't care if the other guys can do anything; they just care if they met the requirements that they wrote. And you're coming in with a solution where there are no requirements.
Exactly. So it's fun though.
So let's talk about Army though. Sorry, bring this back on you.
Let's do it.
Secretary Driscoll, Dan Driscoll, J.D. Vance's roommate, who's really impressive, is clearly leading. He's the most forward-leading. He seems to have. He was the first confirmed. Has his service organized. He's got a great partnership with Randy George. Is in your area. You talked about having General Rainey in Futures Command the other day. I mean, we can talk about. I think the Navy's going to take a hell of a lot of time.
Navy's going to take too much.
Yeah. I worry about those guys having velocity.
Luckily, we don't have to rely on the Navy here.
Right, but Army looks like. I mean, I think they're going to be the role model for everyone if they can move quickly and figure.
Yeah, Army's great. I feel fortunate for our Army partners. They in Austin, obviously AFC and TRADOC merged down there, so that's very convenient. So it's easy to get them out to the range.
Yeah. And there does seem to be fusion between those two organizations. I mean, I love seeing it down, just the collaboration between the two communities, tech community and the Army
but one
community.
thing's been challenging is that we've been in a CR.
Yep.
The reconciliation money is supposed to come. Then this budget's supposed to pass this year. So there's a huge amount of money coming.
Pent up.
Probably coming.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's
as everyone knows, the biggest gift to China is our CR process, not having a budget. It's crazy how we're killing ourselves.
But CRs help the incumbents.
Yes, without a doubt, because it's new starts. Although we got an exception in this one to have new starts at least. But again, all the congressional,
Yeah. So
marks.
Once we're bigger, I'm going to always be pushing for CRs, obviously,
Hopefully not long-term for our capabilities.
We got to pull the ladder up. It's you don't want anyone to make the world a better place than us. That's or whatever the Silicon Valley quote is.
Well, only the paranoid survive, right? Always keep looking over your shoulder.
No, one of the moats in this business is that it's just there's a lot of good ideas from founders.
Yeah.
But there's just they can't get capital.
Right.
So that's the moat. There's just not a lot of competition because there's not a lot of people that can just raise $40 million with no contracts. So it's a very interesting space to be in.
Palmer Luckey says that today, and you can see it. I mean, Saronic raised a shitload of money without very little product, so that gives them a lot of runway capability. So they can fuck up a lot of time. That's part of the that, right?
It's part of it. And so there's not a lot of competition in defense. There's competition for SIBR dollars. Yeah. Because everyone's trying to get SIBR dollars because that's the R&D stuff. That's highly competitive. But because no products or no weapons actually get to the finish line of TRL-9, once you get a product there, you have almost no competition because so few products are getting made, finishing in defense.
To TRL-9.
They never make it to the end.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool about it. Once you get there and cross that product hurdle, you're competing with one person or two people. It's just so few.
How do you get the feedback though? Because that's what as we've seen in aerospace and other places, space is different. But if you don't have the feedback in that TRL-9 process, you've then got changes to make once you kind of have your product done, which is hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard. So it depends on the product.
That's why I'm kind of a believer in you want that constant feedback throughout the process of the building, but maybe not be.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Like, I don't know if you want the feedback. I'm not quite sure. Like, I think that the feedback might end up sometimes with a worse product. Because, like, if you get the feedback and they say, let's add VTOL.
Yeah.
And we know that VTOL is more expensive and trashy.
Yeah.
Then you just have a product that eventually won't get widely adopted because some random SOCOM guy wanted VTOL or something.
No, I think there's validity to that.
There's risk in that too. So you just have to be like, you have to just know what the world needs, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's what it is. Like, look at the Switchblade by AeroVironment. Like, I think just some people invented the Switchblade.
Yeah.
And they showed this loitering munition to the government, and then they bought a shit ton of them, and they still do. Like, I don't think they were like co-developing that. So
I don't know the history in AeroVironments.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like, I think there is collaboration and feedback on like a B-2 bomber or like the F-35, right? Like the big ass projects. But for like the drone,
I'm a believer there's more on the drone side, that's,
like for the drone, I think that the startups probably know exactly how to make a much more lethal weapon, and they should just do that and then say, hey, we can buy these drones from us.
The problem we're seeing, or the problem you're hearing in the drone market, is about reliability.
Yeah.
Certainly from all the U.S. drone makers. Like, there's just that the reliability is low.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so how are you in a warfare environment if you're like, it only goes up 60% of the time? Right?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's obviously product quality too, but that's feedback that's like obvious. No,
because when you're looking at low cost, which is super important and attributable, right? There's that balance there. So I think there's judgment in there. So you got to have a founder who knows enough to build something that get the right point of reliability, which you need.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
it's tough.
Size, weight, and power is tough in the drone space. I mean, it's a difficult conundrum. Of what you build for.
Yeah, I think one of the advices I give to founders is just take existing products that are on the battlefield, and so you already know they have product market fit.
I do agree with that.
And then just like redo them with NVIDIA Jetsons in AI.
Yeah. Or vertically integrate or figure out how to make it better and faster. We're in Castellian. And I remember when we heard the story, I didn't understand it. And it kind of clicked for me when I saw the Raptor engines from Elon Musk, where you see the evolution. And I think that is something that the U.S., because of how our incentive system was structured, didn't have any incentive to build something that went beyond Raptor 1. And that was kind of Elon Musk's brilliance. I'm not going to stop there.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to push my team to do this better, do it more automated, internalized, designed for manufacturing. And now we're seeing a bunch of brilliant entrepreneurs leave SpaceX or learn from others. I think Anduril's still trying. And now they're saying, oh, this is actually an innovation which creates a moat. And it's something, and I firmly believe the big primes don't know how to do that internally.
Yeah. The big primes are really good at laying carbon fiber and stuff, though. That's like their skill.
Or responding to RFPs or saying, tell us what you want to build, and we'll spend a bunch of time trying to figure out how to build it.
Or I do think like doing cruise missiles, like obviously I think they're very good at that.
Yeah.
I think Anduril's Barracuda will have trouble competing against like, Lockheed and Raytheon in that space, but that's another debate.
Because of the exquisiteness of the flight controls?
No, just like the actual like construction of the missile. Mm-hmm. That is something that big primes are very good at. Not necessarily the software, but in that case, like the software for those are already very good over like decades. But the point is like the missile itself, the dynamic. Like, no one's gonna like just be better at laying carbon fiber than Lockheed.
I don't know who's right. I will slightly take the other side of that because I think our industry in the U.S. is brilliant at building things in a very bespoke and exquisite way by hand, which is why our hypersonic missiles cost between $30 and $45 million. And I do think we're good at that. It's also why you can't increase F-35 production. Like, so many things we've hit a ceiling. We can't make more of them. And they keep telling us it's labor or whatever. So there has to be, though, in my view, a way to do that faster, better, cheaper if you're continuing to be relentless and refined on that side.
That
so
sense. I could see that. Honestly, we need a lot of fact checking because I say a lot of dumb shit. But that's part of the media.
But that's also part of being, an innovative founder. Sometimes you're iterating with ideas real time, and then you go back and look and check it out and see if you can find the facts. And
it's the strong opinions weekly held.
Yeah,
I say things like I'm very certain about it. But
you and I will get along well. I'm totally in that camp.
I'm like, definitively, this is how it works. And then you're like,
I'll learn a week later. Well, interesting. I learned this.
You're like, no,
I'm totally in that camp too. We'll get along well. These people are much more interesting too.
It's so much more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I like to throw out something wrong, and then everyone corrects it. That's how you find the right answer real quick.
Absolutely.
Like, oh yeah, my bad, I was wrong there.
But it isn't also give you the thought too, when we see founders, to be a successful founder in fundraising in the US, you really have to be like that. You have to so believe in what you're doing and that the path you're going down is the correct one. And then to your point, you'll pivot if you see information or data that shows you should pivot. But you are super confident and like, I believe this is the way to go. And that is, I mean, both for good or bad, that is what USVCs like. They like to see someone with absolute conviction. I'm 100% right, and this is exactly how the world is going to evolve, even though you and I know it's bullshit because they're going to adjust and evolve throughout the process.
If SBF walks through the door, are you writing a check?
I think he's kind of on the crazy side. I'm not, no.
I'm saying yes.
You are?
I think so, yeah.
I mean,
if he walks through the door again today, I think I'd throw down, just like Adam Newman. Like,
I believe in the founder persona and the founder mode, so I'm totally with you. But I also believe that there are some people that are a lot of hype out there and are just like, I'm creating.
He might be hype. Yeah, he might be hype. But he had all those great investments.
I think he understood. I think he's a brilliant individual who understood a model and then equated to it. I think Adam Newman's totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, he just speaks a vision and then says, oh, and we're going to have a tech-like multiple to that, which is, in my view, bullshit.
It was so funny, though, the community-adjusted EBITDA. That's like the best metric.
Oh, totally. And look how brilliant and creative that is to come up with all these, like, I
want to come up with some sort of patriotic adjusted EBITDA for,
Remember how everyone was judged previously about, your sustainability? Maybe it should, how much are you helping the U.S., continue to be? That's a good one. Funny. We should do that. We'll get Larry Fink to come out from BlackRock and sign off on it.
So wait, back to Castilian, so they're doing the hypersonic, right?
Yeah.
Hypersonic missiles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like an area where I don't think we even make that many. Like, I don't think we
don't.
Them.
We make
kind
of less than 12 a year. And they're between 30 and 40 million, and they're almost all made by hand.
And so these are they're going to make them more of them?
They're going to make hundreds and thousands. That's the goal. So they have taken kind of the Raptor engine, the SpaceX mode, and said, let's deconstruct current hypersonics.
Yeah.
How do we think about it to be designed for manufacturing? How do we vertically integrate the couple of areas that we don't want to rely on other people? They're doing flight controls and CMCs.
Yeah.
And then they are designing it from scratch about what they can do that can be largely automated to be made, and then what they can do in,
Interesting. We had who was that guy we had on Hudson Institute or
Brian Clark?
We had this think tank war game guy on actually, and who like evaluates stuff. And his you gotta watch that episode. Then we need to get Castilian on here or something to rebut this. But this guy's like a think tank, does this stuff for the Pentagon, and was like, yeah, hypersonics are going to be totally useless in the Pacific War because you have to get they can't be launched from the U.S. They have to be on a ship somewhere, getting close to China, and then sent in. But the cost of the hypersonic isn't worth hitting the command center because China has 500 to 600 command centers all distributed. So like, you wouldn't even send a hypersonic to hit it.
They can both be right, because if you're 30 to 40 million for every hypersonic you're building, it has no place in warfare. We can't make enough.
But he was saying even if you lower it to 10 million.
To 5 or 10 million.
Because the command centers there's so many and they're so distributed that there's nothing to really hit for $10 million. And also you have to drive the missiles over there because they can't go across the Pacific.
We have to drive everything over there, right?
And that's part of the problem. So basically he was saying like they don't consider that to be a useful product.
That's like giving up on China right now, though.
Well,
you're like saying, okay.
They're just saying it'd be useful like in a war with Russia, like we'll stage them in Germany.
But okay.
In the Indo-PACOM, they're just not. I'm just saying they're just saying they're not considering it really.
So let's go back and think of, with a war with China, we have to keep our ships at a certain range away.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be sitting at bay. And you're basically now looking for multiple barrier islands at different, which is why like the relationship with the Philippines are so important recently and other ones. And you got how do you protect Guam, right? Because that's, but we also have to.
Why would anyone want to protect Guam? Let's be real. Have you been there? I have.
I have never been there, but it is such a vital importance to our.
I know. I'm joking.
No, but
joking.
A hardship deployment, right?
It does suck being there.
Yes.
Like I was there when I was in the Navy.
So
it's just like not a great place.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a very strategic location.
I had another buddy in the Navy who got deployed to Djibouti. Yeah. That's probably worse.
That is worse. I've never been there, but I think it might be worse.
I think it's worse. Just the size of people.
Yeah.
A little risk. You can't really go anywhere. So.
Yeah, but from a strategic asset standpoint, we need it. So we need Guam. Yeah.
We need Guam, but we also need an ability to, what do we have that can strike land while keeping our ships at bay?
Yeah.
So, and how does it get, and at a price comparable. So, I think that's the problem. Any future conflict is we don't have the tools right now that would inflict any sort of damage. But if you're looking again at, we had Ukraine for a while, which is a really good lesson on how you do drones and kind of close warfare. And now you have a little bit about the conflict between Israel and
just longer range drones.
Longer range, and you're strategically trying to take out, which again is smaller country. So to your point about China, but you've still got to take out the bases, the capabilities.
Yeah.
And you got to know where they are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So but you've got to have the volume. To be the volume of missiles and capabilities to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's otherwise you're just like, okay, take it. Take Taiwan, take South China Sea.
But to be clear, I don't know if this guy's right. Like, I think he might be wrong. It's just, that's why I want to get the debate. I mean, we need to have Castilian on to set the record straight of how they actually crush in the Pacific. Everyone needs to come and talk their book.
Well, I think there are other groups doing really interesting things as well. The swarming capabilities on the aircraft side. Yeah. So there's a lot of different concepts that are being talked about in the war games. And it's an interesting question. We don't even know whether we're going to have those capabilities to deploy those, right?
That's true. That is true. Yeah. I guess in Ukraine, all you're seeing is whatever they can get their hands on. They try it.
And the current technology, but that's why this Iran, first of all, we have two things, both between the Chinese fighter jets that happened in Pakistan and India, how there's capability and they really perform seamlessly. And then you've got what's happened in Iran and taking out capabilities of each location. So I really think at China, we would need to figure out how to get close enough to be able to take out their capabilities.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Yes,
the Pacific is kind of a big
especially since they're a landmass. They have all their capabilities, and we're just putting these ships out here, which are also easy targets themselves, right?
Yeah, for hypersonics.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, their hypersonics will hit our big destroyers and carriers.
Without a doubt, right away. In a true conflict, they would absolutely.
Yeah.
And then what do we have?
So basically, this is above my pay grade. Sounds like a very hard conflict to defend or to do.
Well, I think that's, you and I are a little more in the DC world.
Yeah.
That's when I go talk to people in New York or San Francisco, they all get really depressed when I walk in the room when they hear after they tear, because our state of deterrence is because of the technology we have today and how a future conflict that we are in such a poor state of deterrence.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think that's going to mean? That's going to probably mean that the countries get a little more aggressive, I guess, in their taking of land or something.
Well, I think
because they're not as afraid about our deterrence,
right? Our capabilities, but I think that's the question: is China really serious about taking Taiwan, and would the U.S. really defend Taiwan?
Yeah.
And do we have the capabilities of defending Taiwan? And I always talk with everyone. It's not really about Taiwan. Most people think it is about chips in Taiwan, but it's also about South China Sea. 70% of all global traffic goes through the South China Sea. Yes, we're trying to disentangle and disintermediate, but you're basically giving all of the South China Sea over to China and then all of our allies in the region. So Japan, South Korea, Australia, all would basically have to adhere to the global order that China set in their region. And that's really what they want. And you understand why they want that.
Yeah, because they want to eat all the fish. Right? They're trying to get the fish.
It's all about fish.
It might be.
Although, they're not really into... I'm trying to think of all the fish they eat.
They want the rare fish.
They want the rare fish.
They actually overfish a lot. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, and so maybe we could just do diplomacy and be like, yo, you guys...
can have all the fish.
Well, but don't overfish.
Yeah.
And then you guys hook it up, but be nice to the fish.
What is it that they have at Chinese weddings that everyone is like, that's the, is it dolphin?
Yeah.
It's dolphin.
I think so, yeah. And yeah. Be nice to the fish, don't overfish, and then let's all be friends.
So if you look at the ships out there that don't have their beacons on, that are kind of secret, we were idiots and probably thought they were all about fishing earlier. Oh, they want the better fish. They don't want to. They want to be. We're fishing in an area. And now now we wonder as we go around the Philippines and see what's happening in the shoals.
This is going to be great because definitely Russia and China will listen to this podcast. Obviously, and they're going to put it in their report. This guy thinks we just want to eat fish. That's racist, bro.
Or they're healthier than us. We're not on steroid pumped meat. That the Americans are. Maybe. Who knows? The Europeans aren't eating steroid pumped meat. So.
Yes, it's crazy though. Like we have like such an impressively growing country like China, like one of our adversaries, and like. Yeah, I mean, if we could, President Trump is a very peaceful president. Like he really does want like these wars to end.
Yeah.
I mean, and like
he wants to be.
And so, like as an investor, you got to put at least some sort of discount on your companies about world peace coming. Like it could be a very peaceful time. We might be heading into.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
I want to head into a utopia.
Yeah.
Like with AI that does all our work for us, and we just eat grapes and stuff and hang out.
Well, I grew up in a world. I'm a little bit older than you. Where like I spent a ton of time in Beijing. I loved Beijing. I spent a ton of time in Moscow. Like
you're not older than me.
Unfortunately, I am.
I don't know. I look young for my age.
And I appreciate your compliment that I don't look as old as I am. But you could be in Beijing or Moscow, and it was so fun, and it was just like being in New York City. And this generation isn't going to have that opportunity. Like it's just a much more hostile world, and it was completely
I'm sad about
borderless.
that.
It's really sad.
When I was in the Navy, I went to Moscow. It was awesome.
Yeah,
and I don't think I could go right now.
No,
I think that'd probably be dangerous.
I don't know if I may be able to go back to China or Moscow. Totally agree.
They called us like loud Americans when we were there because we're like louder than them. Like the very quiet culture. Yeah, they don't talk. They just hear us from a mile away because we like talk like this on the street. And
that's everywhere,
Silence
right?
is golden there.
In Europe. In Russia?
Silence is golden, yeah. It's very quiet. Like on the metro, everything is very peaceful.
Huh. I still think of the boisterous, vodka-infused, Russians. Maybe that's in just south of France, right?
But I want to go to like Iran, too. Like Tehran seems sweet. Well, not now. I just got bombed to shit. But like, my parents met in Tehran. So like, they said it was awesome back in the 70s.
I just finished all the Shah's Men, and that was really good. I mean, understanding history is so important.
Yeah.
So my next book is The Prize.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's on my list.
I haven't read that yet, but
I do a lot of Audible books.
Yeah.
So as I'm kind of going around, and I actually just looked at The Prize, and it said it was 48 hours.
Oh my God.
I was like, holy shit, that's a long book.
Yeah.
And I listen fast, but that's still really long.
Yeah. Any advice for before we wrap, for early stage founders that are trying to make it in this defense space world? Share advice to them.
I think it's a lot what you did. I really encourage people to not found a company right after they leave the DoD. I mean, just you need to go see what the cadence of commerce looks like. Yeah. You need to work with good founders. And once you do that for a couple of years, learn as much as you can, take in, and then you'll have that. But it is being, it's all consuming. And you really got to take from different parts of your life. And you're probably a much better founder today than you were 8 years ago. And I know when I graduated from business school, we were super arrogant. Going back to the agency thing, right? Oh, you thought you could do everything. Yeah. Oh, we can found companies. And I came out of Stanford Business School and was a venture capitalist right away. And I was like, oh, I'm just as good as like any of those 40-year-olds or, and you realize you're not. I mean, you're super smart. Your ability, your IQ and your processing is, but it's just that history of seeing things and putting them together.
Yeah,
and
pattern matching.
The pattern matching. It's the same as an entrepreneur. Or you can see mistakes. You can see around corners better, right? Mm-hmm. And that's half of being, you have to be able to do that to be successful either investing or a founder. Amazing. Well, Kirsten, I think that's a great spot to end it. Thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it. Soon. Yeah. Love it. All right, bye. Thanks for having me.